Hello everybody, it's Brian here with recent finds for January 2024, and this will include things that I found from late November. I think November 25th was my last video, and December and early January. And well, let's get going. And as you can tell from the introduction, the first thing I'm going to talk about is Tron Legacy. This is music by Daft Punk, the vinyl edition motion picture soundtrack from the 2010 film Tron Legacy from Disney. Now, in the 2024 Rob Walker Vinyl Tag video, I showed this record because it was one of the questions was, what was the last thing you bought in 2023? And this was it. And Joe from Racer Records left a comment to say that the cover is glow in the dark. So I checked mine, and sure enough, it is glow in the dark. Although it glows a bit greenish, not this blue color. And of course, the only thing that glows is Tron, and Disney faintly glows, but nothing else does. This has 3 sides of music from the film, plus 4th side is bonus content, so I guess pieces that never made it to the film. This is the inside. And I like both Tron films. I think the first one may be better. And I would say I think the first soundtrack is better, which I also said in the past. But here we have a insert from the record, and this lists, people who are on here, like, for example, the London Orchestra, and you can see there's a long list of musicians listed here. So this has a more of a cinematic orchestral feel than I remember it being when I saw the film. So it's very grand and has lots of drama in it, what you'd expect from a soundtrack. But I don't have the first one, so I probably should find it, because I think I like the first one better. And it's just on black vinyl in these nice polyline sleeves with that Tron thing on the label. So I think that's pretty good. I've listened to it. I like it. I enjoyed it. Second thing is from a Manchester band. And this is a band called A Certain Ratio. They're I guess nominally you would say post-punk band, but new wave maybe. They have elements of funk in the music. So it's hard to even decide what genre it is, but here's the back of it. And this is a remix album from 2021. It remixes their Loco record from 2020, plus some tracks from an EP, which I've never heard. And it's presented here on this double vinyl with a bonus 12-inch. So inside we have statements from people who remix these tracks. And the funny thing is, I have never heard of any of these people before. So Dan Carey. And they all have written things like, a long time ago when I was a teenager, I was in Manchester and spotted a poster and said something about a certain ratio remixed by Norman Cook, etc. So they all describe the background, what they liked about it, and I guess sort of what they did in a way. Oh, by the way, here is the hype sticker, which you'll never be able to read. And there are, as I mentioned, 3 pieces of vinyl. The actual record itself is on this gray, sparkly vinyl. So there's 2 records for that. And then there's this bonus 12-inch, which is this purpley, sparkly thing. It says it's on 33 RPM, but it's actually 45. This has 1 track on each side on that one. So pretty enjoyable. The first time I heard it, I had mixed feelings about it. Wasn't sure that I loved it. But, I should say, there's only 750 copies of this, so if you want one, it's probably too late. Not that it's worth a lot of money. Number 3, now I've always said I'm a big Brian Eno fan. I love Brian Eno, but for some reason, although this came out in 2016, I didn't have it until now, which is pretty weird. It's The Ship from Brian Eno. This type sticker includes 4 individual art prints and a download code. So let's have a look. So here are 2 art prints for the first record. Now, I don't know which way these go. Maybe you know. And record number 1 is the title track, The Ship, and it's in 2 parts, on side A and side B, which is good. I really like it. And then the second record also has 2 art prints, and there are 3 tracks on here. Fickle Sun takes up a whole side, and then the other side has something called The Hour is Thin, and then there is this really surprising cover version that I never expected from Brian Eno. He does a cover of Velvet Underground's I'm Set Free, and it is magnificent. I recommend you listen to that. I mean, the original Velvet Underground song is also great. I mean, it's a great song, but Brian Eno's re-recording of that is really great. I think it's the first time he's sung on a record since 2005 by the time that came out. So that was 2016. Took me a while to get it. I have no idea why. Oh, yeah, I showed you that already. Okay. Now, speaking of the Velvet Underground, White Light, White Heat. Now, I've had White Light, White Heat, a vinyl pressing from Canada, pressed in 1982 for a very long time. In fact, all of my Velvet Underground records are, I think they're all, well, most of them, I should say, are Canadian pressings, and most are from the 80s. Because after all, that's when I was buying music. That's when I discovered the band. So I don't have the original pressings, those much sought after originals. I don't have them. But I bought this because this is the 45th anniversary 180 gram deluxe edition. So in addition to the original record, it has some additional material. So let me show you the inside first. There's a really excellent photograph of the band with the actual record. And this is what's on here, if I can do that. So the original recording, which I think you'll know is, White Light, White Heat, The Gift, Lady Godiva's Operation, which always makes me laugh. Here She Comes Now, I Heard Her Call on My Name, and of course the ridiculous Sister Ray, which I actually really love. Additional material. So we have I Heard Her Call My Name, an alternate take. I Guess I'm Falling in Love, instrumental version. Temptation Inside Your Heart, the original mix. Stephanie Says, original mix. And side 4 has 2 versions of Hey Mr. Rain, which is a song I really like. And Beginning to See the Light, a previously unreleased new version, right? So, interesting record. And they're in these boring white sleeves with the Verve. I'll have to get rid of those paper sleeves, I guess, eventually disintegrate. But, I did listen to this. I'm not sure. I have to compare this is the stereo version of the White Light, White Heat. I'll have to compare that to my 1982 pressing to see which sounds better. But the bonus material is actually quite interesting. So, as a Velvet Underground fan, I had to buy that because it was a used copy and it was in great shape and the price was excellent. So, now a band I've liked for a long time, TV on the radio. This is Return to Cookie Mountain, from originally from 2006. Now this is the 2023 repressing. I think it was repressed before, but I never got a copy. It's that thing about, well, do I need a copy if I have a CD? And I do. This is a limited edition, and on the inside, in this kind of nice inner sleeve, is this record on this orange vinyl, which is kind of cool. And for me, the best track on here is Wolf Like Me, which I think is really, really good. Starts with I Was a Lover, which I think may have been a single. I'm not sure. But excellent band. I guess that's really their second record. I don't think people count that weird thing they did called OK Calculator, which was kind of a cassette release or a CD release. So it's kind of, I guess people ignore that one because it's really strange and not really fully realized, let's just say that. Now from 2002, and of course this is another thing I've had on CD since 2002, but Beck's Sea Change, again, I should have had this, earlier, but this is a 2016 repressing. One of his, in the series of his mellow records, like Mutations, Sea Change, Morning Phase, one of those kinds of records. I think this is obviously excellent. I mean, it's so good. But I think this is his 8th record. It starts with the Golden Age, and again, the just regular white sleeves in here. I don't think there's an insert. No insert. Did I show you the inside? Yes. Maybe I forgot. I don't know. Anyway, a favorite Beck record for me. And then a band that I mentioned some time ago. It's a band I never liked originally, but then sort of liked, and I don't mind them now. But this is Depeche Mode's Spirit, which I guess is their second last record, and I think it's okay. I don't think it's their best record by a long stretch, but it's kind of enjoyable to hear. It's the last record with Andy Fletcher, and this came out in 2017, and it was their I think it's their 14th record. I guess that's kind of a cool photo. And inner sleeves. Kind of got a boot and leg theme going on here. So it's on 2 pieces of vinyl. And I've only listened to this a couple times, and I think it's okay. It might be like a grower, but as someone who was never a Depeche Mode fan, and now sort of am, I mean, I do like them. It might take me a while to get into that one because I don't think it's as good as the earlier stuff. Now here's a record that was shown by at least two channels recently. One was PC31, The Vinyl Policeman, and Mike's Vinyl Spiral. Both have mentioned this record from Grian Chatten. I didn't know how to pronounce that originally, but I've done some research, and it seems to be Grian, I don't know. He, of course, is the lead singer for the Fontaines DC, a truly epic band out of Dublin. Although I realized when I was looking him up that he was actually born in England, which I didn't know. And this is called Chaos for the Fly. Came out in summer 2023. The debut Fontaines DC, debut from Fontaines DC, Grian Chatten. This is quite different from Fontaines DC, though. Oh, John, the 6-inch pianist, also recommended this record. So it's much more mellower than the first three. Well, the only three, what I know you're not going to talk today, Fontaines records. But I find it really captivating. Fairlies, there's a video for that. Bob's Casino, and that's a great song. It's so weird. In fact, when I was listening to that, all I could think about was Mac DeMarco for some reason. But you're not going to get the Fontaines DC here, but I think it's really an interesting record, and I would recommend it. Now, here's a band that I followed quite closely up until 1989, and I have everything they released, including, I think, all but one 12-inch single. And then I stopped listening to them and didn't know anything about them until I bought this, which came out in 2018. It's Simple Minds' Walk Between the Worlds. And the reason I got it is the local record shop here had a sale bin with things that weren't moving, and this was kind of too cheap to be passed up. 8 tracks on here, and this is their 18th record, as I said, from 2018. And of course, I hadn't heard them in so long. The lineup is quite different. I think there's only 2 original members. That would be Jim Kerr and I think Charlie Burchill, I think, are the only 2 originals, and it's kind of a completely different lineup now. That way. And you can see the band looks quite different from what it did back in the 80s. Now, I've only listened to this a couple of times, and I think it's okay. I don't think it grabs me as much as, New Gold Dream or Sparkle in the Rain. But we will see. I'll play it a few more times and see what I think of it. But I missed everything from after 1989 till this, and I haven't heard their last. I think there's one after this I haven't heard. So I've got some work to do on that front. And then a record that I can't really say too much about because I've only heard half of it because I just got it, and that is the last record from Pere Ubu, Trouble on Big Beat Street. Now, this is a very strange band from Cleveland. I have many of their records. There's a few I'm missing in the early 2000s, I think. Of course, the only consistent member has been David Thomas, who's credited here with vocals, analog synthesizers. It seems like the band just changes membership from time to time, and I don't know when these people were when these people joined the band or not. But it's first listen to side 1 is very strange. But what do you expect from Peru? It's a really strange band. Let's be honest. This is from 2023. But I kind of like everything they've done because it's so quirky and so odd. And I did get the last 2. The 2 that preceded this, I have them as well. I think the last Long Goodbye and 20 Years in a Montana Missile Silo. I probably got those wrong. Those are the last 2 I had from them. But I think they're a really interesting band, and I recommend them if you like weird music. If you don't like weird music, then you might want to skip it. And I clean forgot to do my shout out. I have a couple coming up. Today's is going to be for a guy named Holly, and his channel is called the Hellion Rebellion Rock and Roll Association. Of course, I will leave a link to his channel. He's been around for about 5 years on YouTube. He has 312 subscribers. He's made 281 videos. His favorite bands are things like Alice Cooper, Motorhead, I think he said Iron Maiden, Ramones, King Diamond, things in that kind of area. And I guess a bit unusually, he doesn't really sit there and just tell you what he got. He will play the music for you. So a lot of 7-inch records, some CDs, some cassettes. He will just give you an introduction to the band or the artist, what they sound like, where they come from, what kind of music they play, and then he'll just play 1 or 2 or 3 tracks, whatever the case may be, and you get to make up your own mind of whether you like it or not. And it's not just obscure punk. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of things I've never heard of before. He does also play some stuff that might surprise you, like Springsteen, Bjork, Bauhaus, things like that. So it's really an eclectic mix of stuff. And I'll be honest, most of the stuff he plays I don't know, but I like his presentation style, and I'm exposed to things that I've never heard of before. So I'm going to encourage you to check out his channel on the link that I provide. And that's it for today. I'll talk to you next time.